To check out the entire show, just hit the link at the bottom of the screen. Other than that, the NBA is back. Let's move on to the West Coast spot here in the opening night of NBA. Clippers, Lakers. Man, this is going to be fun. So Lakers open up. Yeah, man, this is fun. Lakers open up at -2.5. There are a few threes. This total opens up at 223 and goes down to 222. So, I understood why this Golden State Brooklyn total went over without studying it, just knowing the teams, knowing the players, capping NBA year after year. And I understand why this has gone down to the under. And even though, and we have the stats here, the under was 4-0 when these two teams faced off last year.
Last 4 meetings, 4-0 to the under.
Yeah. I'm still not sold on the full game under, but I did sell myself on the first half under. And then I was like, you know what, man? Take that first quarter under. Now, that's not available for me to bet yet at my book. They haven't put up the first quarter under, but we'll get into this. Let's start talking about these teams here. First, we'll go with the Lakers. LeBron and AD trying to get back-to-back championships for the Lakers. They added playmaker Dennis Schroeder and scorer Dennis Schroeder. They added Wesley Matthews to the backcourt. I'm not a big Wesley Matthews fan.
No, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I do think it's an upgrade from Green.
Bubble Green, maybe. Everyone only remembers the bubble green. I mean, he missed a big shot. He did, but you're going to tell me Matthews is a better defender than Danny Green?
No, but we weren't that upset to see him go up here in Toronto.
Yeah.
But maybe you're right. Maybe he's not.
He's streaky, but I think he's a good defender. He's streaky.
Well, let me ask you another very interesting question here. They bring in Montrezl Harrell from the Clippers, 6th man of the year, but I still think that Marc Gasol is a good basketball player. We talk about bubble Green or bubble Gasol. At times he didn't look so good in the bubble, but he's such a smart basketball player, and he's a guy that I want on my basketball team that we were upset to see leave. And what are your feelings on Marc Gasol as the 5 now for the Lakers?
I definitely like on the court. I definitely like it better than Harold because he spreads it. He can hit the 3. He likes to be out there, and he's actually a very underrated passer. He's very good at passing the ball. Excuse me, but I do believe he's a defensive liability. I don't think he can move his feet very well. But again, with AD, he could, and with LeBron, he could spread it. And the ball doesn't always have to be in LeBron's hands because he can make a nice play as well. I don't hate the pickup. I think he's a good, solid player. I just don't know if it fits. I guess against maybe Denver, Joker, it fits maybe that. But I don't know really what else because he definitely can't handle too many other players inside. And I don't really think he can handle Joker either. He's just a little slower. So Gasol could probably, beat him up a little bit.
We liked Serge Ibaka, who's now on the Clippers. We liked him on Joker better than Gasol.
I wanted Serge in the lineup over Gasol whenever I had action on Toronto.
Yeah, understandably so. And we'll jump on to the Clippers here in a second. Let's just finish with the Lakers here.
For sure.
They led the NBA in field goal percentage last year. They were not a very good 3-point shooting team. Their point guard right now, we have LeBron James, Schroeder, Caruso at shooting guard, Wesley Matthews, Taylor Horton Tucker at small forward, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Markieff Morris. Power forward, Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma and LeBron, they can play different positions on the floor. And then at center, Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell. I see this as a better basketball team than the NBA champs last year. Do you agree with that?
I do agree that they are overall better. I think they're right now not going to be a better defensive basketball team. I think you lose JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Danny Green, and Rajon Rondo, and you replace it with Marc Gasol, Harrell, Schroeder, and Matthews, and you can tell me you're a better defensive basketball team? I just don't think so.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Besides that, I love the Schroeder pickup. LeBron is doing things that make sense when he goes out and gets it. The GM, whoever, LeBron makes the decisions. He's got Schroeder. He's a perfect pickup. I would like to see him come off the bench and, see if they had another starting point guard in there. I don't know. I think that's really their only weakness, but I definitely like Schroeder. I think he can play big minutes when LeBron hits the bench. He's a scorer. He has got others involved. He's averaged 6 assists before. I just don't. I think he's very streaky though. I don't really see them as that much of a better 3-point shooting team as well. So I'm not completely sold on the Lakers. They're a great team, of course, but I don't see them as just a juggernaut. I don't like the Harold. I'm not going to say I don't like the Harold signing, but I just definitely think he doesn't make sense as much with LeBron. He can't shoot past the free throw line, clogs the middle. He's not that good at defense. He's undersized when it comes to against elite big guys. He can't rebound the hell out of the ball, so I definitely like that. But, I definitely would – I thought they were going to go get Ibaka, and I thought that would put him over the top because he spreads the court too. So then you got the best of both worlds with him. Definitely a better shot blocker, even being a step slower than Harold. So my questions are out on them, but they're going to be a top 1-2 at the worst 3 seed, and they're going to be there when it matters. That's for sure.
Without a doubt. And Serge and Kawhi are very good friends, very close friends.
Yeah.
So there was an inkling that if we were going to lose Serge, it would be to the Clippers and not the Lakers. The Clips, Tyronn Lue makes his coaching debut, and Doc Rivers. I don't want to hate on Doc Rivers. It's easy to do that, but there was way too much ISO with this team last year, and it was something that we got used to in Toronto. For so long, we had these DeRozan ISOs in key spots that would just drive us crazy because there'd be no movement, there'd be nothing. It'd be this D-Row ISO to finish the game. Then we had that same situation happen with Kawhi, and Kawhi was just such a talent,
right?
That we kind of were okay with.
Okay.
But then it hurt the Clippers when push came to shove last year. Paul George is really what hurt them, but also their offense became stagnant often. And Tyronn Lue says he will change that, running triangle sets. Do you believe that is an answer for the Clippers?
Anything that they did differently from last year, I'm going to go ahead and support because they have the talent. So I like that they're changing. I don't want to question Ty Lue. So I do believe that I do believe, yes, it's going to make a difference. But at the end of the day, players got to make shots. Paul George got to make his shots. They got to D up. It's a lot of talking, a lot of wolfing, and it just needs to just be more done on the court. They have all the talent in the world. I do put it on Doc because I just think Doc kind of just was. I think Doc's a little overrated, to be honest with you. Needed a change of voice, but he's shown that he can't get you over the top. With elite talent, he did it one time. And didn't do it when he should have done it the second time. So over and over, he underachieved there with the Clippers. So I'm going to go. I think the jury's still out on Ty. He did great with Cleveland, obviously with LeBron. But I do think he's going to be able to get the offense going. What I'm worried about with the Clippers is more with that bench. I'm not too confident in their bench. Lue's getting older. They did go out and sign Luke Kennard, who I think can give them good minutes. But it looks like they're going to be relying a lot on him. I'm not big on Reggie Jackson. Zubac is Zubac. I just don't really see it when it comes to their bench now. I think they have a better starting lineup with Serge Ibaka. They lost Shaman as well, the shooter. So the jury's out for me simply on the bench. When I see these two teams, I see that the Lakers clearly have a better bench than the Clippers. The starting 5, we can talk about.
Yeah, no, that all makes sense. I want to break into some more spots, but were you surprised when Paul George signed that max extension?
No. I'm big on Paul George. A lot of guys hate on him. It's hard not to hate on dude after that bubble appearance. But Kawhi played like shit. Like players have had bad. Paul George is one of the better players in the NBA. So there's a lot of cats out there that are getting the money that are a lot worse than Paul George. Look at Mike Conley's contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you. With the stagnant offense last year, this team ranked 23rd in assists. That has to change. We talked about the undergoing 4-0 when the Lakers-Clippers match up. Lakers ranked 3rd in the NBA in defensive rating. Clippers ranked 5th. Clippers were the only team to rank top 5 in offensive and defensive rating. Marcus Morris will not play in the Clippers season opener with a right knee injury. Patrick Patterson, hyperextended right elbow, practiced on Sunday. Said he feels good. The more time Patrick Patterson's on the court, the lower scoring game you're going to get. I mean, this guy
toss up that little three from the corner.
Yeah, and I mean, it has not been hitting for him, and he was not hitting much when he played up here in Toronto.
No,
but he's a very
still around.
He's a very likable guy, and he gives max effort, and so
I guess that's why he's still in the league.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we have at point guard Patrick Beverley and Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson was a complete no-show for this team in the playoffs last year. You have Paul George, Lou Williams. You mentioned Luke Kennard, who can hit that shot, that very, very important perimeter shot. You have Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum at small forward. What are your expectations of Batum on this team?
From what I've seen, he doesn't look like he's too comfortable. I mean, the kid was a big talent, so I thought maybe with all this time off, the rough year in Charlotte, finally getting healthy, but I don't like. From what I've seen, they had him in the starting lineup. They're expecting him to be an early part of the rotation. They need to ease him in a little bit more. I think they're expecting a little bit too much out of him too early.
Marcus Morris, we said, is hurt. Patrick Patterson will play. We know that.
And that's why, because not to cut you off, but that's why I think because of injuries, he's getting a little more run.
You're right, because he can play the 4. You can slide him up to the 4. Serge Ibaka can also play the 4. And the 5 as well. And then you have Zubac. All right, there is the breakdown of the teams. And now let's go to action. I can completely understand why this under is being bet. I don't think it'll even be at 2:22, in the morning. We're shooting this late on Monday night. It's now Tuesday morning out east here. I would move on the under, but I just feel like there's going to be a little bit of rust early.
Yeah.
And that first quarter under is screaming at me, and I would take that first half under, but I have a feeling that if the first quarter goes under, that they could get hot in that second quarter. And it would get me off of that first half bet and even that full game bet. I think they're going to get better as the game goes on. What are your expectations on the total before we get to a side?
No, I did. I really like the under. I try to stay away from over-unders to early start, and then obviously, especially with this no fan situation, the bubble, there's a lot more overs. So, but because the numbers just scream under, and I feel like it's going to be playoff intensity as well. Last 8 games for the Clippers, 7-1 to the under. 5 of the last 6 games versus the Lakers have went under, and like you mentioned, the last all 4 meetings last year went under. They were split 2-2. Now, what hesitates me simply is I don't think the Lakers are a better defensive team last year, like I mentioned to you before, due to their due to the loss of the big men simply, and with Schroeder, and we didn't mention this as well. Schroeder has an ankle injury. He's not 100%. Doesn't say if he's in or out. That's big, too, as well.
I was under the idea that he was going to be in the lineup.
I believe he's going to play, but I've got mixed two things about it. So I don't know if it's just a big ordeal or not. I mean, he probably will play. But yeah, I guess his ankle's a little banged up. He didn't play the last game as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, I just think, like I mentioned to you before, I'm not sold on that bench for the Clippers. So I have questions regarding the defense of the Clippers, and I have questions regarding the actual overall Lakers team defense to start the season. Now, they might not miss a beat and could be just locked in and ready to rock and roll playing championship basketball. But I just don't think they're going to be a better defensive team with the attractions that they had with Rondo and the 2 big men leaving and Danny Green. I don't think they're going to be terrible by any means. I'm sure they're still going to be a good defensive team, but like I said, I want to sit back and watch that. And the Clippers defense is definitely going to take a step back when it goes to the bench, especially without Morris, Luke Kennard's not going to be stopping anybody. They got Reggie Jackson. You got Lou Williams. You got Zubac, who's a big guy, but he's not too quick. So when the Clippers bench comes on, I look for the Lakers to score some points.
So, did you want to make a move on the total?
I don't.
Okay. And I understand. I'm completely with you. I do not want to be sitting here in the first week or two of the season with a bunch of totals bets until we can get some real statistical backing for pace. I don't want to be making moves, but I am going to take the first quarter under as soon as it's available to me. As soon as it's available.
I'll sweat that for you for sure. But look, as spread-wise, side-wise, looking at the game, I mean, I want to take the Clippers because I know everyone in the world is going to be on the Lakers. And the numbers back it too. The Lakers are 0-7 ATS in their last 7 games in LA. So when they're the home team, when they're playing in LA as the home team, they've lost all 7 ATS outright. 2-6 ATS in the last 8 in December. And the Clippers are 10-5 ATS in their last 15 versus the Lakers. Now they are 7-1, like I mentioned, to the under as well. Now this is what hesitates me as well is the Clippers. Now this does obviously go into last year, but they're 1-5 ATS in their last 6. They finished the year playing not good basketball. They have played horrible basketball in the preseason. So I don't want to go to the window with the Clippers. So I'm going to attack this game from simply the prop market, Jimmy.
All right, that I can understand why you would.
But those are some numbers there that might hesitate for the Clipper or for Lakers backers because all the numbers to me point to the Clippers, and of course, all the money is on the Lakers. So, but different teams, different year. We'll see.
Well, let's move over to the props market. Who do you plan on using?
Okay, so I'm going to attack the max man, the guy you question. You wouldn't pay Paul George, but I would, Jimmy. All right. I know you don't like PG. I can tell by the way you asked me about the question. But
you know what? I a lot of when I start disliking a player comes from losing bets.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I had a futures bet on the Clippers, and I knew I started feeling in the bubble that the Lakers were a serious problem, but I also felt like it was a bet that I could hedge very comfortably because I had a decent number on the Clippers, and when they lost 3 straight, I didn't hedge. I could have. I mean, how early do you want to start hedging? Like when it was 3-1 for the Clips, I didn't start betting the Nuggets money line. If I had them, I mean, that would have been a very shrewd thing to do. But I didn't do that. And Paul George upset me. Kawhi Leonard upset me. But Paul George, they both really upset me. I'll just leave it at that. Kawhi brought a championship to Toronto. So, we love him. Paul George has done nothing for us.
I hear you. So he gets all the blame. Kawhi gets a little bit. That's all right, Kawhi. We got that chip, bro. It's all good.
The market just moved on Paul George, by the way, on his over. As we're speaking, his over 21.5 points just moved 4 cents, and it was already juiced, so it's now up to minus 118.
Yeah, so, I had it at minus 121 other. So I actually I'm going to lock in. I'll give you a couple numbers here, but I'm going to lock in over 30.5 points, rebound, and assist. It's minus 115 at FanDuel.
Paul George over points.
Now we know he's an LA kid. Yeah, over points, rebounds, and assists. 30.5 minus 115 FanDuel.
All right, locked in.
Now we know he's an LA kid. We know Jimmy's mad at him. The whole damn world's damn near mad at him. Especially every Clipper fan in the world's mad at him because a lot of people had the Clippers going there too. So definitely beating the Nuggets. I know that. So
I just feel like we lost out on that. See, it was even from a fan perspective. Had the Lakers run over the Clippers, that would have been must-watch basketball. And as a fan, I was fucking angry. And it's coming back. I can feel it coming back.
I hear you. Yeah, no, I know. I was ready for it. I agree. I completely agree. It was unfortunate because I was big. Like I said, I'm a big PG guy too. So for him to choke like that, and I wanted to see Kawhi and LeBron go at it. Not just one game. I wanted to see the series. So it would have been great. But hopefully we'll get something like that here in the near future.
Over points, rebounds, and assists. And I also want our the cappers watching the show to know that I watched Dutch Boy Fresh destroy props last year, and he takes a ton of unders. So just the fact that he's moving on overs so far with Joe Harris on the Warriors Brooklyn game and the Lakers Clippers game, you're going to see a ton of unders as well. So just
yeah, I like to fill it out a little bit, but I'm kind of going off of the matchups right now, and without these fans, these guys seem a lot more comfortable. It's a lot easier without people screaming, fuck you, whatever they got to scream
sometimes. But those guys screaming at you, they do help your focus and intensity.
Yeah, the good ones.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of the average players and players that I think it's a lot easier to play, and once you're locked in and you don't have people screaming and doing all that, it's quiet. Like when you shoot a free throw, it's quiet, or when someone's screaming, you rather it be quiet.
Yeah,
I mean, I just think that's the way it goes. It's just easier.
Absolutely.
But now to back up the PG, July 30th, the last game they played, he had 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. This was the last game they played in the bubble, and then March 8th he had 31. This is the last game they played, March 8th. They had 31, 6, and 3, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. So in the last 2 games against LA, he's averaging with points, rebounds, and assists 39. So we're hitting that number very easy, I think, tomorrow night. Not to mention, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's at home in LA. He's got something to prove. He's the max man. They choked last year. I can hear it. He feels, somewhat responsible for it. And I just think he's too good of a talent simply not to get this done. I believe he'll get anywhere from 24 to 25 points, maybe even 22, 23. But we're going to be about anywhere from 6 to 7 assists and 5 to 6 rebounds. I do think.
I keep getting these flashbacks of that series. When it ended, it didn't feel like they were angry.
Yeah, well, I'm talking more about what I've heard him recently speaking. Okay. He seems. That's another thing. What I remember is Doc Rivers. His facial. That's what I remember. Like the whole damn series. It's like, bro. It's like, what are you gonna do to change this? It just doesn't make sense. I like the Clippers. I like the roster, but I don't like players in the fit there. I don't like Morris, especially in the starting lineup. I don't think he's not a starting NBA player, not on a championship level team. And I don't like Reggie Jackson. I personally think Reggie Jackson would be a better fit in the other LA team. They have Lou Williams. What is Reggie Jackson? A poor Lou Williams. I mean, you need someone who's out there trying to get someone else better. That's why I think Paul George, the next step in his game is to become more of a facilitator. Be more of that point forward. We've seen it somewhat in Indiana, not so much in OKC because of Russell with the ball so much. But I think he could take that next step. I think Lou knows that, and that's what I hope to see. PG with the ball in his hands, creating for others, and really just knocking down that smooth J that he's got. Because when he's wet, he's super wet, man.
For sure. Are you going to be moving on anything else other than Paul George in the late game tomorrow night?
Yes, I do. I do like Kuzma as well. Now Kuzma in the 3 games last year played against the Clippers, he averaged 16. Now he missed one of the games, so he only played 3. So he averaged 16 points in the 3 games. In the 2 preseason games against the Clippers, he's averaging 21.5 points. He signed the extension. To me, he's comfortable. He's comfortable playing against the Clippers. They don't have anybody to stop him. So the over, I really like this one. The over is 10.5 points on FanDuel. Lock that one in for me, Jimmy. That's over 10.5 points for Kyle Kuzma.
That's just minus 106. Just minus 106.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Minus 106. Yeah, sorry. I've got to scribble over here.
No worries. Yeah. Got it locked down. So we have Paul George over points, rebounds, and assists at 30.5. Kyle Kuzma over points at 10.5.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And I was looking at this. I haven't locked this in yet, only because I actually kind of wanted to run it by you as well, see what you thought about it, give us something to talk about here for a minute. And as well, the edge doesn't give me as much edge as I would like. But I definitely think in this matchup, AD kills him. He averaged in the 4 games played last year, he averaged 28.5 points. The last 2 games played against him, he had 35 and 30 and 30. Now, the last game AD played in the preseason where he actually got some minutes was 29 minutes. He had 35 points. Obviously, was pretty wet from three. Went 6 from 7 from range. But I do think this is AD's. It's obviously LeBron's team, but LeBron is passing the torch to AD. He knows who the best player on this team is. Doesn't mean LeBron's not going to have the ball at the end when it matters, but he's going to look for AD. He's going to look for the open guy. We know that. But AD is the best player on this team. He's going to have the best numbers. He's going to score the most points. I hadn't locked this in, but it's 25.5 minus 120 at FanDuel. I don't see how he doesn't get 30 points against this team. He'll probably get 12 to 14 free throws. I mean, Ibaka can't handle him. Zubac, I mean, they have nobody. Morris is out. The Harrell's on the other team. They couldn't guard him last year. Now they've even lost a big guy and they're out Morris. I don't see how AD just doesn't roll into 30 unless he takes the night off.
That has moved at FanDuel to now 26.5 at plus 100.
Okay.
I can understand. With these guys coming off an NBA championship and having a very short off season, it's unclear how they're going to come out of the gates. I don't have a feel. I certainly don't think they're going to come out guns a-blazing. We know that Paul George had something to prove.
Right.
Kawhi, after winning his championship in Toronto, he just doesn't seem that affected by what happened.
He looks a little heavy to me. I don't know if it's just me being loaded and watching the K's, but he looks a little heavy to me. But you know, like he said he didn't have much time off. You know, obviously they didn't. He was talking about it when I watched the interview. He was saying, you know, it feels like we're right back at it. I feel like Paul George kind of has a thing of he's eager to get back at it, whereas Kawhi kind of maybe wishes he still had an extra couple months to chill.
Well, the NHL,
but he's a talent.
Sorry to interrupt, but the NHL gave their players a much longer break, and it's all financial. The NBA has a huge TV deal. The NHL needs fans in attendance. The gate is really important to the NHL. So it's not like the NHL is giving their players really more time out of any kind of care for them. They just know that they need to push it back as far as possible because they need fans.
They want the fans, right?
And it's tough. It's very tough on these guys. Very tough on AD and LeBron coming back so quickly after winning a championship.
Yeah, LeBron. Go ahead, my bad.
No, take it away.
LeBron's definitely going to be in coast mode. I've seen him play a little bit. He's not guarding. He's not running on defense. He's not switching. I think this is going to be LeBron more back in Cleveland, where he's not focused so much. Out last year, obviously, even before the bubble, they were locked in, ready to prove something. After missing the playoffs, he wanted the 1 seed. He wanted to show, hey, we're the best team in LA. Now I think they just want to be healthy and ready to rock and roll in the playoffs when it matters. And obviously, this being less of time off with the 2 months, I don't think we'll see LeBron really hit go until about 3-4 weeks, maybe even a month into the season.
I wonder if that under 24.5 points on LeBron is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know me, I like the unders on these props as well, but I don't want to reach too early, you know.
No,
I want to see who's in the, see some matchups, see how we're going. I'm banking off guys what I've seen off so far in previous matchups, and also what I've seen a little bit in what they've played in the short preseason.
I love it.